They mocked her. They said her dress looked cheap, like it was stitched from a tablecloth. When they humiliated her for trying to buy a painting, told her she was too poor to bid, they didn't know. She was the artist behind the very works they were fighting over. The Gustad auction house was a fortress of wealth, nestled in the Swiss Alps, its glass walls reflecting snow-capped peaks under a February sky. Inside, the air hummed with power. Billionaires, aristocrats, and art world titans gathered for an ultra-private sale, each piece valued above $10 million. Crystal chandeliers cast prisms over marble floors, and waiters glided with champagne flutes, serving guests in tailored tuxedos and gowns heavy with diamonds. The crowd whispered names: Warhol, Basquiat, a rumored Monet. But the centerpiece was an unsigned canvas, Veil of Dawn, a swirl of blues and golds that seemed to breathe, its $20 million estimate a whisper among the elite. Elara Vance slipped through the entrance, unnoticed by the security scanning QR-coded invites. Her ivory strapless gown was simple, unbranded, its soft fabric draping her frame like a sigh. No makeup touched her face, no jewelry adorned her neck or wrists. At 31, Elara's beauty was quiet, ebony hair pinned loosely, hazel eyes deep with unspoken stories. A presence that didn't demand attention, but held it once seen. She carried nothing but a small paddle, her name printed in plain font. Her steps were silent on the marble, her gaze fixed ahead, as if the room's opulence was just background noise. She paused before Veil of Dawn, the central canvas, its colors pulling her in. Her eyes didn't dart like a collector's weighing value. They lingered, tracing every stroke, as if greeting an old friend. The crowd barely noticed her at first, their voices a low hum of deals and boasts. Then a man approached, Maximilian Voss, a German industrialist with a $5 billion fortune, his suit sharp as a smirk. "Sweetheart," he said, loud enough for nearby guests to turn. "People like you belong in the live stream chat, not this room." His laugh was a blade cutting through the air. Elara's lips curved slightly, but she didn't speak, her gaze still on the painting. A woman in emerald swept by, Isabelle Dubois, a French noble with a private jet and a sharper tongue. She stopped, her camera raised for a selfie with the canvas. "You're blocking my shot, darling," she snapped, her accent crisp. "Step aside before I call security." Her entourage, 2 women in fur shawls, giggled, one muttering, "Does she think this is a museum freebie?" Elara stepped back, her movements calm, her eyes never leaving the painting. The Baroness's flash went off, her Instagram caption already forming, "Art only the elite understand." As Elara lingered by Veil of Dawn, a group of collectors in bespoke suits and glittering dresses formed a mocking circle. "Is she lost?" A woman named Astrid Thorne sneered, her sapphire necklace flashing. "This isn't a thrift store gallery, dear." A man, Julian Sterling, laughed. "Bet she's here to dust the frames." Their voices carried, drawing chuckles from others snapping photos. "Move, peasant!" one shouted, waving her off. Elara's gaze stayed on the canvas, serene, but their cruelty stung, a public sport for the elite. The insults grew bolder as Elara stood there, a lone figure against the canvas's glow. A tech mogul, Blake Harrison, leaned toward his date, a model named Serafina Hayes. "Look at her dress," he scoffed, his voice carrying, "tablecloth chic. Bet it's from a thrift bin." Serafina laughed, her diamonds glinting. "She's here for the free drinks, right?" A nearby dealer, Vivienne Moreau, overheard and chimed in. "Or to sketch it for her Etsy shop." Their chuckles spread, drawing eyes to Elara's gown, her bare shoulders, her stillness. She didn't flinch, but her fingers tightened briefly on her paddle, the only sign of weight. Elara moved to the last row of seats as the auction began, her paddle resting in her lap. The room buzzed, bidders in velvet and silk, their wealth a silent shout. The first lot, a Picasso sketch, sold for $12 million. A Rothko followed at $18 million. Then Veil of Dawn was announced, and the air tightened. Opening at $10 million, the auctioneer, a silver-haired man named Alistair Finch, called, his gavel poised. Hands shot up. Maximilian's Isabel Saleh. Zabaz. A Saudi prince named Khalid al-Rashid. Bids climbed fast. $12 million, $15 million, $18 million. Elara sat silent, her face serene, watching the frenzy. As Elara took her seat, an auction staffer in a crisp vest approached, his voice loud enough for nearby rows. "Miss, this isn't open seating," he said, smirking. "You're not on the VIP list. Try the lobby." Guests overheard, snickering as another staffer added, She's probably scamming a free view. Their taunts echoed, heads turning to gawk at Elara's plain gown. She sat calmly, paddle in hand, her dignity unshaken, but the staff's scorn painted her as an intruder, unworthy of the room. Then she raised her paddle. The room froze for a split second, then erupted in laughter. "Oh, look! The poor girl thinks she can bid," Serafina Hayes called, her voice dripping honey. Blake smirked, shouting, "That's adorable. Dreaming in millions with zero in her purse." Vivian Moreau leaned forward, her pearls clacking. "Save it, honey. This isn't a charity raffle." The Baroness fanned herself, muttering, "She's embarrassing herself." Even Khalid chuckled, his gold cufflinks flashing as he waved dismissively. Elara's paddle stayed up, steady, her hazel eyes fixed on the auctioneer. When Elara raised her paddle, a bidder named Beatrice Lancaster, dripping in rubies, turned sharply. "You're joking, right?" she scoffed, her voice slicing the air. "That paddle's not a toy, girl. Stick to crayons." Others joined in, a man yelling, "She's insulting the art with that bid." Their laughter roared, phones filming Elara's steady hand. "Get her out," Sophia hissed, gesturing to security. Elara's eyes stayed forward, calm, but the crowd's venom surged, a mob tearing at her nerve. The laughter swelled, a cruel tide, phones slipping out to capture the joke. As Elara's bid drew laughs, Eleanor Voss whipped out her phone, tweeting to thousands. "Unknown in rag dress crashes. Gustad auction. Thinks she's a player." Comments flooded. "Delusional! Kick her out!" A guest nearby live-streamed, narrating, "Nobody's making a fool of herself." Hashtags like #auction_joke spiked. Memes mocking Elara's gown trended globally. She sat still, paddle gleaming, her silence a shield, but the digital storm raged, shredding her dignity before the world. Alistair Finch hesitated, his brow furrowing as he checked his tablet. The bids hit $20 million, Maximilian's latest raise. Elara raised her paddle again, the laughter sharpened, venomous now. "She's delusional," a hedge fund manager, Frederick Hayes, hissed, his date snorting. "What's next? Bidding with Monopoly money?" Serafina's voice rang out. "Security! Escort her out! She's mocking the art!" The crowd nodded, their amusement turning to scorn. Elara's expression didn't shift, but her paddle gleamed under the chandelier, unwavering. The mockery didn't stop. A woman in sapphire silk, an art critic named Eleanor Voss, leaned toward her companion, loud enough for Elara to hear. "She's probably some blogger faking it for clout," she said, her pen tapping her notepad. "That dress screams, 'I borrowed it.'" "Pathetic," Frederick added. "Bet she's never seen $1 million, let alone bid it." Their words flew, each one a dart, as guests craned to see Elara, her simplicity a crime in their eyes. She sat taller, her silence louder than their noise, but the room's disdain pressed heavy. Alistair Finch's gavel paused midair. He leaned into his earpiece, his face paling. The room quieted, sensing a shift. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice trembling slightly, "I've just received a private request from the artist herself. She wishes to withdraw Veil of Dawn from sale, permanently." Gasps ricocheted off the marble walls. Maximilian's hand dropped. Isabel's fan froze. The lights dimmed, and a single spotlight flicked on, bathing Elara in soft gold. She stood, her gown catching the glow, and walked to the front, every step deliberate. The crowd was silent now, their laughter choked. Elara reached the podium, her voice calm but clear, cutting through the stunned air. "My name is Elara Vance," she said, her hazel eyes sweeping the room. "I painted Veil of Dawn. I created it in the back room of a shelter, with paint I couldn't afford, on canvas donated by a retired teacher." She paused, letting the words sink in. "You just bid $20 million on it, but I've bought it back. For one." Murmurs broke out, disbelief rippling through the room. Maximilian's face reddened. Isabel clutched her pearls. Elara held up the certificate of authenticity, its edges crisp, and tore it in half. The sound echoed like a gunshot. "Starting today," she said, "I refuse to sell my art to people who only hang it to flaunt their bank accounts." Her voice was steady, not loud, but it carried a weight that silenced every whisper. "My 42 works will be displayed for free, forever, at the orphanage where I grew up." The room was a graveyard of egos. Blake's smirk vanished. Serafina's phone slipped to her lap. Vivian's jaw tightened, her pearls suddenly garish. Elara stepped away from the podium, her gown trailing, and walked past Veil of Dawn. She didn't look back. The spotlight followed her to the exit, where she paused, turning slightly. "Art isn't a price tag," she said softly. "It's a pulse." Then she was gone, the glass doors closing silently behind her. By morning, the world had exploded. Headlines screamed across continents. "The woman they laughed at is the genius they can't afford." The Guardian. Elara Vance breaks the billionaire art market. Le Monde. Hidden artist no more. The photo of Elara under the spotlight, gown glowing, eyes fierce, went viral, shared millions of times. Excerpts read, "She owned them without a fight." Elara Vance is art itself. Her story flooded the internet, raised in a Marseille orphanage, self-taught, painting in secret for years. Her work sold anonymously through a mentor who died last spring. Veil of Dawn became a legend overnight. Art historians dissected its layers. Grief, hope, defiance, woven into every stroke. Critics revealed Elara's other works, once bought in shadows, a canvas in a Dubai sheikh's vault, another in a London museum, a third rumored to hang in a Japanese tech titan's office. All priceless now, their value unmoved by her refusal to sell. Museums begged for loans. Collectors offered blank checks. Elara didn't answer. Her orphanage in Marseille announced a free gallery, set to open in months, funded by donors inspired by her stand. The elite who'd mocked her were silenced. Maximilian Voss's firm faced a PR crisis. His live-stream chat quip replayed endlessly online. Isabelle Dubois's latest gala flopped, her name tied to elitist cruelty. Blake and Serafina's social stock plummeted. Ex-users called them artless bullies. Vivienne Moreau's gallery lost clients, her snobbery exposed. Frederick Hayes's hedge fund took a hit, his monopoly money jab a meme of his own downfall. Eleanor Voss's next review was ignored, her credibility shot. None apologized. None dared. Maximilian Voss's mockery unraveled him. Days later, his firm's stock plummeted as clients fled, citing his classless auction antics. X roasted him. Billionaire bullies artist, loses billions. At a Berlin summit, peers shunned him, whispering, he mocked Elara Vance. His art collection, once bragged about, was quietly sold off. Elara's spotlight burned brighter, her silence louder than his ruin. The man who'd sneered was now a cautionary tale. Isabelle Dubois's fall was swift. Her security threat against Elara sparked outrage. Invites to elite events vanished, her name blacklisted. At a Paris ball, guests turned away, murmuring, she insulted the artist. Her Instagram, once a status symbol, bled followers as Cancel Celeste trended. Her jet sat grounded, her influence dust. Elara's free gallery drew millions, while Isabelle begged for scraps of relevance. Elara's silence was her sword. She didn't sue, didn't gloat. Reporters camped outside the orphanage, but she stayed inside, painting with the kids. A grainy photo leaked, her in jeans, laughing, a brush in hand. It trended harder than the auction shot. Art Forum ran a cover. Elara Vance, the artist who redefined worth. It noted her work's anonymous sales, royalty tech giants. Even the Louvre had one, bought blind. Her identity, once a ghost, was now a beacon. The Marseille gallery opened to crowds that stretched for miles. Veil of Dawn hung at the entrance, unframed, its colors raw. Visitors wept, left notes. You showed them. Thank you for giving us this. Elara didn't attend the opening. She was teaching a class, her hands smudged with paint. Her 42 works drew millions. From school kids to scholars, all free as promised. A rumor spread. A queen had offered $1 billion for one canvas. Elara sent a polite no. Maximilian tried to visit, his checkbook ready. Security turned him away. Elara's orders. Isabelle mailed a letter begging for a private showing. It went unanswered. Blake posted a vague art appreciation tweet. It was ratioed to oblivion. Serafina's modeling gigs dried up, her followers gone. Vivienne's gallery shuttered, her name toxic. Eleanor pitched a book on Elara. Publishers passed. The elite stood behind velvet ropes now, peering at Elara's art through glass, their wealth useless. Elara painted on. Her new work stayed off the market, shared only with the orphanage kids. A journalist asked why she'd torn the certificate. It wasn't mine to keep, she said, her voice soft. It was theirs. The people who see it, feel it. Her hazel eyes flickered, not with anger, but peace. The world called her a genius, a rebel, a saint. She called herself nothing, just Elara, brush in hand. Her art was priceless now, Not for its price, but its truth. A canvas surfaced in a New York auction sold years ago, pre-Elara's fame. It fetched $500 million. The buyer anonymous, maybe a king, maybe a coder. No one knew. Elara didn't care. Her Marseille gallery grew, a second planned in Sao Paulo. Kids painted beside her, their laughter louder than any gavel. The elite who'd laughed stood humbled, their names fading as Elara's soared. She didn't need their millions, their approval, their world. She'd built her own, one stroke, one truth at a time. Veil of Dawn hung free, its blues and golds a mirror for anyone who looked. Elara walked past it daily, her steps light, her heart full. She'd turned their laughter into silence, their wealth into dust. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring narratives.